It was frustrating, and I'm the last one to point out to anybody about trying to be on some type of moral high ground. I'm not a great guy. I never discussed that I was. But you see Jennifer, who he calls Jenny, but every time I use Jenny, I feel like I'm talking to Forrest Gump. But you see Jennifer, the sitting behind him, watching her husband get just absolutely assassinated from individuals that are no better than any of us.
Republican Senator Markwayne Mullin is making the case for Pete Hegseth, Trump's nominee for Secretary of Defense, by letting everyone know he's a bad guy. And if that first clip wasn't strange enough for you, take a look at this one.
I've made mistakes, and Jennifer, thank you for loving him through that mistake. Because the only reason why I'm here and not in prison is because my wife loved me too. I have changed, but I'm not perfect. But I found somebody that thought I was perfect. And for whatever reason, you love Pete, and I don't know why. But just like our Lord and Savior forgave me, my wife's had to forgive me more than once too, and I'm sure you've had to forgive him too. And so thank you.
Mullin isn't just throwing himself under the bus. He's also making the slightly convoluted argument that if other people, including US senators, can drink on the job, then it's hypocritical of them to be questioning Hegseth about his issues with drinking. Let's take a look.
The senator from Virginia starts bringing up the fact that what if you showed up drunk to your job? How many senators have showed up drunk to vote at night? Have any of you guys asked them to step down and resign from their job? And don't tell me you haven't seen it, because I know you have. And then how many senators do you know have got a divorce before cheating on their wives? Did you ask them to step down? No. But it's for show. You guys make sure you make a big show and point out the hypocrisy because the man's made a mistake.
How is the bad behavior of a sitting senator a defense of someone who wants to run the Pentagon?
It's not. What they were saying is he was incapable of doing his job. And Caitlin, what I was trying to get to is if you're capable of doing your job and you're able to still drink on the job or late in the evening, then don't tell me that Pete can't. And Pete had already said he's not going to drink, but they just kept hammering it.
Now, as a reminder, Hegseth has been inconsistent when it comes to his drinking problem, or lack thereof. Here's a clip of him from last year, followed by a clip from 2021, as pointed out by none other than conservative Newsmax host Greg Kelly, which we covered on the show a few days ago. Take a look.
Look, he went on the Megyn Kelly show and he made a case that he didn't have a problem drinking. Okay, let's listen to what he said.
Even if you're not an alcoholic, which I believe, you can't have somebody who's inebriated to the point where they need to be carried in from their hotel room, as alleged anonymously in these New York reports,
anonymously,
running the Pentagon. Like, you know that.
How can you believe a single other thing that any of these people are saying in any instance, to include being carried up to my room? With a bunch of vets who are working hard, have come back from combat deployments, would they have beers? Sure. I'm not gonna dissuade you of that. But the idea that it was constantly being carried up anywhere is patently false.
All right. So he told Will Cain in 2021 that, yeah, he had a problem.
Were you drinking pretty heavily afterwards?
Oh, yeah. I'd look around at 10 o'clock and be like, what am I going to do today? How would I drink? Some beers. How would I go have lunch and have some beers? How would I meet my one or two buddies and have some beers? And one beers leads to many, leads to self-medication, leads to I've earned this. Like, don't tell me I can't. I mean, you don't know. It's not you don't know what I went through, but it's almost like, let me process this. And none of it is useful, but there doesn't feel like an immediate alternative.
There's a discrepancy here.
Thank you, Greg Kelly. Michael, what do you make of this?
Look, I mean, first of all, he was accused of rape. But forget the beers, forget the staying out late, forget the coming over. He was accused of rape. He denied it. Charges weren't brought, but a rape kit was taken and reported, and he settled. And that was in 2017. That's enough for me. I don't think 100 senators are coming back to the chamber to vote late at night and having done that. And there is a difference in my estimation. It's not double standard. If you're running the Pentagon, it's a little different than if you're voting on an omnibus spending bill or an amendment to one late at night in the Senate chamber. So I don't think the guy's qualified. I think there are better people out there. When you have a Republican president, Trump or Bush or Reagan or anybody, there are going to be people that if you're a Democrat or you're a progressive, it's going to be full. The cabinet's going to be full of people you don't like. But at least you would hope that they're qualified. People don't like Marco Rubio that much, but compared to everybody else in the clown car, he seems like the diplomat and the star pupil. So I think Hegseth isn't qualified, and I think this making excuses for him by Mark Wayne Mullen is offensive, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, obviously I'm with Mike on that. Hegseth just seems like a lightweight who happened to be on one of Trump's favorite TV shows and constantly praising him. So he's like, oh, that guy was in the military, like good looking guy. Yeah, he could do the job. Screw it. What I'm more fascinated by, why are you volunteering this information? This is insane. My wife, bunch of times had to forgive me. I made mistakes. Like, what are you doing, dude?
Yeah. You were perfect in everything you said, except that it's not Mark Wayne, it's Mark Wayne. It's one word. You have to really.
Mark Wayne.
You have to. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, much better. Now it's perfect.
It's ridiculous. It's an odd stance to take, and throughout all of it, like Michael pointed out, he's just mischaracterizing. So it wasn't just that he cheated on his wife, who had just had a kid. It's that he allegedly assaulted somebody. And it's not just that he had a couple of drinks and was just, it was late at night or, it just happened to overlap with work. There were reports of him showing up drunk from the night before or drinking early in the day. And he hosted a morning show. So it wasn't, all of it was just like, oh, let's just focus over here on just kind of more acceptable aspects of behavior under similar umbrellas. And it was just a deliberate lie from somebody, Mark Wayne, who challenged the Teamsters president, I think, to a fight, who took a PPP loan, didn't pay it back, and then criticized any sort of attempts at loan forgiveness for other people, inherited a business from his dad, who has tried to portray himself as somebody who built a business from the ground up. The guy's got issues. Edwin and I are wondering, what should he be in prison for? Because he didn't deliver on that. He threw it out there. I could be in prison if my wife didn't love me. What's the dirt there? Michael, do you know?
I don't know the Mark Wayne Mullen story. I do. I mean, I guess he drank too much, and his wife set him on the straight and narrow. Probably gave him an introduction to Jesus, and here we are today. Senator Mark Wayne Mullen is there. So.
And also the snitching on the senators, like everybody knows these guys like to get after it. Why are you putting their business on the street? Right. Just because they like a good scotch every now and again? Come on, man.
Guys, you're saying guys? It's Elizabeth Warren stumbling in for a late night vote. Come on.
And he's got to be careful. He's got to be careful with how he plays that card, because Madison Cawthorn, he made a comment about the coke-fueled orgies, and all of a sudden, a bunch of oppos started to drop on him.
That's true, actually. That's a very good point. Yeah.
Be very careful.
Ostracized him, man. They got him the hell up out of there after that.
Right. That's true.
Let's see. Are there any
Matt Gaetz ain't been the same since. Telling you.
Michael, have you heard? Matt Gaetz kept making these vague, maybe hollow threats that he was going to come back to Congress for different proceedings and spill everyone's baggage, dirty laundry. Is that going to happen?
No, I mean, he won. He didn't take the oath, so he didn't come back on the first day of Congress, but he won his race in November, so he had the right to be seated and then resign, but he said he was resigning from Congress, and he didn't come back, so he didn't take the oath. He hasn't been sworn, so I guess he doesn't. He does, as a former member, have floor privileges. That doesn't give you a chance to speak, though. He has to be recognized, and no one would recognize. They'd have to call him onto the floor, and no Republican, speaker is going to and tell him to come
Yeah.
Tell us what you have to say.
Yeah.
You know, not going to happen.
No
but he
open
didn't
mic
get
night.
the Senate seat. He didn't get the Attorney General, and he's, I'm cuddling up with a loved one and watching OAN every night, and he's just doing a great job.
Coming for your spot, Jordan.
A new year of lawmaking and politicking is underway. In US state house, governors are acting quickly to outline their agendas. And in many of cases, the influencer of President-elect Donald Trump already is rippling through states in both symbolic and substantive ways. Some state officials are trying to tackle concerns that propelled Trump to office, such as ceremony, affordable living, and immigration. Some are mimicking Trump's government efficiency panel through the lack of handling billionaire like Elon Musk to lead it. And how many waded into the debate about whether US flags should fly high on inauguration day to honor the new president or remain low to honor as uh, deceased